our next session is country session, presentation, India and Japan opportunity, shifting the focus to the immense potential of collaboration between these two dynamic markets. India, rapidly growing gaming ecosystem, and Japan, deep-rooted expertise in gaming and technology created exciting opportunities for businesses, investors, and creators alike. To guide us through this discussion, we have two distinguished speakers with us. Ms. Chitra Negi, Senior Investment Specialist in West India, who brings deep expertise in the market opportunities and investment strategies. We have Mr. Ryo Shima, CEO of JetSynthesys Japan team, a leader in digital entertainment, gaming, and cross-border collaboration. May I request the speakers to be on the panel, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity today to speak to all of you. My name is Chitra Negi. I am part of Invest India, which is Government of India's investment promotion and facilitation arm. And today I will be giving you a brief presentation on the India gaming opportunity and basically majorly focusing on the levers currently driving this sector ahead and the opportunities that the sector presents to global investors from Japan and across the world. So let us begin by understanding how the gaming industry is currently positioned within the larger media industry in India. When we speak of gaming, the gaming is already, according to industry associations, around $4 billion market opportunity in India, which is leading the new media market, digitally empowered segment within the media industry in competition with other segments like video and OTT. The industry is further expected to grow at a CAGR of 20%, expected to reach around $9.2 billion by the year 2029. When we speak of India's global ranking, India is also the second largest market in terms of mobile game downloads, with 15 billion downloads of mobile games done in the last year in 2024. India is also the second largest gamer base after China, with over 500 million gamers in the country. Several gaming companies from across the world and also investment funds are currently helping to shape the nascent gaming industry in India. Some of these companies like Stillfront, Ubisoft and Keyword Studios are actually leveraging the game development talent in India and also training this talent to create global IPs from the country for the world. And while rest of the companies are also engaged in introducing innovative and new gaming hardware products and gaming merchandise into the country, which is also leading to the creation of a very sophisticated gaming consumer base in the country. Both of these functions are impacting both the supply and demand nature of the gaming industry in India. When we speak of key growth levers that is also fueling the development of the industry ahead, we come across three major factors. First, the continuous development of the digital infrastructure in India. If you look at the numbers at the screen, you can understand what is driving the current explosion of the new digital media market in India, including gaming. Out of 1.4 billion people in India, around 954 million are connected to the internet and around 680 million own a smartphone. The average mobile data download speed in India is also ahead of the global median speed and ahead of a lot of advanced markets in the country. The 1 GB mobile data plan can be bought in India under $1, which is also the cheapest in the world. And when we also talk about the 5G revolution, India is at the center of it, occupying second largest share in the 5G smartphone shipment in the last year, the first half, ahead of markets like US, Japan, and UK. So what this is doing is, while internet and smartphone penetration has democratized access to gaming in India, the 5G advancements will further enhance gaming experience in the country for users. The second largest driving factor is the increasing affluent class in affluent people in India's population. It is estimated by the year 2030 and 31, 1 in every 2 households in India will belong to high income and upper middle income segment. The consumer spending in 2031 is expected to reach around 5.2 trillion US dollar. This will be a tremendous contribution towards entertainment consumption in India. According to the data released by Ministry of Statistics, entertainment is already the 5th largest category by consumption expenditure in urban areas. Around 67% of India's population, which majorly comprises of millennials and Gen Z, are active entertainment consumers, especially the 337 million strong Generation Z community, which will bring in $2 trillion opportunity by 2035. Right now, this community is already influencing 43% of the household consumption in India and has collectively contributed around $860 billion in consumer spending to the Indian economy. They're also they are also responsible for around 48% of expenditure that India does on out-of-home entertainment in the country. The third lever, which is laying the foundation of gaming in India, is the efforts that are being put in together by the government of India. Since 2022, we see accelerated efforts from the Indian government, especially in the sectors like animation, gaming, filmed entertainment, and comic space. This comes in the form of a lot of central and state level incentive schemes, and also announcements to set up hubs around major IT states in India in terms of center of excellences, and also the industrial parks specially created for the AVGC sector. The government of India is also planning a global media and entertainment summit in May 2025, which will further highlight the opportunities and talent base that India has to offer to the world. With respect to gaming, the focus of the government is to produce more original IPs out of India for the Indian market as well as the global market, and also to turn India into a global esports hub. With respect to India opportunities, I think Japan right now is increasingly placed uniquely within the domestic scenario to leverage key opportunities in the gaming and allied industries. These are some of the key gaming opportunities that investors can leverage across segments ranging from content, hardware, merchandise, and experience zones. A lot of these opportunities are also supported by the government at the central and local level in the form of incentives that are being offered to the private sector through different central ministries and state governments. Some of these incentives are covered in dedicated AVGC policies catering to the animation, visual effects, gaming, and comic sector, while other form a part of larger ITS, electronic policies, industrial policies, and tourism policies. Why I say that right now Japan is in a very unique place to leverage opportunities that India offers in the gaming space is because looking at the 1990s, I think the kids who were growing up in that era, their first exposure to Japanese entertainment came in the form of these two major IPs. One was the Jungle Book, and of course the other was Ramayana, that was created in commemoration of the 40th anniversary of the India-Japan diplomatic relations. Now both these IPs were co-productions, Japanese co-productions, Jungle Book with Italy, and Ramayana of course with India, which beautifully leveraged India's stories and left an indelible mark in the minds of Indian audiences. The nostalgia around these IPs are so strong that even after 30 years, when remastered versions and new versions of these IPs were released in the market, they got the same kind of tremendous response as they got 30 years back. When we come to recent times, India has also emerged as the second largest anime fan base after China. With the increased internet exposure, now we have an entire dedicated younger audience which has formed a dedicated consumer base for Japanese anime, manga, food, and also the kawaii culture of Japan. India and Japan has, on the screen, I think you can also see towards the end some of the popular Japanese IPs which are equally a rage in India. And I think from a personal perspective, India and Japan share cultural history, and they also there's also a very dynamic people-to-people exchange between the two countries that can be strategically leveraged by companies in both countries to create more creative projects in the coming years. If you have more information, you can reach out to Invest India. We are a Section 8 NPO established by the Commerce Ministry, which looks after facilitating foreign investments into the country. We provide a range of pro bono services working at the intersection of government and industry. We facilitate investments in almost 30 sectors. These are some of our services that we provide as part of our end-to-end facilitation support, ranging from pre-investment and aftercare services to foreign investors. With respect to media-specific queries, you can reach out to us at this address. Thank you so much.
Okay, can you hear me? Hello. My name is Ryo Shima, RYO. Thank you very much for having me opportunity to talk about Japan and India. So CII asked us to present the same theme, so there's some overlap, but forgive us. And I'm pretty relieved that some of the data that I'm using is the same number. We can start. So I want to talk about the Japan and India today. First, so our company, JetSynthesys, is an entertainment tech gaming company creating lots of contents for Generation Z in India. But we also have an international team, facing Japanese companies, US companies, helping them entering into India. First, I want to talk about numbers. So left-hand side, you see 500 million, and on the right-hand side, 55 million. So I picked up one of the audience to ask, what do you think this is?
Hello. Yeah. So I think the current one is what it is right now, and the 568 million may be the potential or where it can reach.
Okay, it's close, but the answer is this is number of gamers of each country.
Nice.
Obviously, the 500 million is larger than Japanese entire population, so it's apparently in India. Whereas in Japan, it's only 55 million. So the fact one is the number of gamers is massive in India. Second number that I want to share is this one. Left-hand side is only $130, and the right-hand side is only $7. What do you think this is?
I think the revenue earned.
It's close, because
Okay,
it's not
close.
revenue, it's a revenue per user.
Per user.
So
ARPU.
we call it in gaming industry ARPU, average revenue per user. Essentially, how much each player consume in-game annually. And it's apparently Japan is higher and India is lower. And in fact, Japan is the highest ARPU country in the world, exceeding US and China. And then India is among most of the lowest in the world. Therefore, I'm going to say the answer to this one. The market size, comparing India and Japan, this is a game market size. 18 billion for Japan, and approximately, depending on the data source, 3 billion for India. So if you only look at this, then Japan seems to be a very interesting market, attractive market for the sheer size. But I think we're missing one key component from this puzzle, which is this number on plus 28% on left-hand side and minus 70% on the right-hand side.
I think the Gen Z audience, or maybe the
Not really. This is actually the growth percentage
Okay.
of the market.
Right.
So India is growing rapidly in terms of the gaming industry, right? Whereas Japan is mature. It's actually slightly declining. So it's an interesting market, large market, very highly competitive, but it's not growing. Whereas in India, it's still small, but it's growing rapidly, which makes India a very interesting country to enter in for international market. So what does that mean as opportunities? From a business perspective, imagine you're a Japanese company and you're competing in Japan. It's a pretty competitive market, and you need to talk with the shareholders, what's your growth plan? I think for Japanese companies, sooner or later, all the company will come to India, entering into India market. But at the same time, India is a difficult market, ARPU is low, and people told me that India is one country, but it's an aggregation of many culture, countries, different languages, history. It's very difficult to penetrate. So Japanese companies need partners, local partners. So what that means is, for Indian companies, it's a great opportunity to work with the Japanese companies. And if you look at the history of gaming, Japanese gaming started to boom in 1970s. Later 1970s, there's a family computer, Super Mario Brothers, Donkey Kong, and it started to conquer the world. Whereas in India, when game became very popular, become a thing, after people started to buy smartphones. So the rich history of Japan, accumulation of craftsmanship of the game design and development, there's lots of things that Indian companies can learn and partner with the Japanese companies and make revenue, but learn all the techniques that they have. One of the reasons, I can give one example of why Japanese ARPU, average revenue per user, is so high, is because of the system that is called gacha. So gacha is a specific monetization technique that Japanese companies are using, especially on the RPG games. And it became so sophisticated that the Western companies started to replicate. Companies like Supercell is using gacha techniques in their games. So in essence, there's lots of things that Indian companies can learn, and there's lots of opportunities for Japanese companies to enter into India. One other fun thing that I want to mention is that anime is becoming very popular in India. It used to be Doraemon, but now we're talking about Demon Slayers. It used to be Shin-chan, but now young generation talking about even Jujutsu Kaisen. It's a pretty dark fantasy, right? It's sometimes even the Japanese, my grandparents having difficulty to understand, but people are enthusiastic. I can hear that, see that Indian young audience are looking into this. And there's multiple reasons why animations is becoming popular. Our Chief Strategy Officer, Girish, mentioned that OTT platform is become very accessible in India. And then you can see a variety of anime, Crunchyroll, Netflix, all these OTT platforms providing lots of contents. And some of them you can, watch it in your native, your local languages because it's dubbed. If you have those dubbed languages, you can, understand the content more and very closer. And also, our marketing expert, Preeti, is sitting here, was telling me about the why Indian audience love Japanese anime. One of the reasons is that it has universal theme in anime. For example, friendship, family values, and a constant battle and challenges, but winning with lots of efforts and collaborations. All these are very common theme that touches Indians' heart. And there's also recently these Japanese anime has become very sophisticated. The character development is excellent. Not only the beautiful art, but also it will touch the deeper heart of your emotion. So that's also resonating with younger generations. And it's growing, and I can see that lots of content is growing in India. This is another opportunity for Japanese companies to come to India. And then there's lots of business opportunities. For example, not only just broadcasting the anime series, but there's a massive opportunity for merchandising. They can do even live shows, They can collaborate with influencers. There are lots of things that these IP can do because it's a massively growing market with a great potential. So in conclusion, when we come back to the gaming, India, as of today, is a smaller market compared to Japan, but the potential is massive. That's why I'm recommending personally all the Japanese companies to come to India. But India is a complex market that they need to work with local companies to understand. And all the companies here, and we are also Jet Global, are here to support all these companies to enter into India and then be successful. And then Indian companies can also learn from Japanese companies. And then they can even go to even Japan someday. And then also you can apply those techniques similarly to what Western companies are doing. You can learn those techniques and apply to and go to other foreign countries, including US and Europe. So there's lots of win-win opportunities that lay here. So that's something that I wanted to talk about in terms of the opportunities between Japan and India. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing the opportunities that are there in India and Japan. If there are any questions, before we wrap up, if there are any questions, we can take that. I hope it's fine with you, Ryo-san and Chitra.
Hello.
Yeah, please, you can mention your name and the organization you represent.
Sure. My name is Divyansh. I am making my own games as well, but I also teach game development at a college in Gurgaon and AR/VR at NIFT Delhi. So my question is, we have a lot of young game developers, animators in the college, students who are coming up their graduation. What can we do to connect them with, this segment of Japan? What can we do additionally that we can connect those young developers? So currently the batch is about 150, 200 students in total, right? So what are the things we can do connecting them with the Japanese industry?
I think there's a lot of effort in the government, and the CII is promoting connecting Japan and India. And I think there's a lot of effort on the country level government side to connect not only in the gaming sector, but also the entertainment tech sector. Our CEO, Rajan, is facilitating those efforts, especially in the gaming sector. So that's one thing. And for more the private sector, we, for example, as a company, have a lot of clients, and we're talking constantly with Japanese companies. So local companies increasingly, as I mentioned in the presentation, Indian companies started to work with Japanese companies. So talking with the local companies who have international relationship working with the Japanese company is a great opportunity to start working with the titles for Japanese companies. For example, the Japanese companies, since their engineering resources are very scarce, so they want to work with the Indian companies for develop the game. That is a huge opportunity for a young Indian developer to work with their favorite titles.
Any other question? Yeah, please.
So my name is Pratham Nahata and I am from SGTB IMIT, Azadpur. So I have a question from you, Chitra. So you told that that we are the 5th largest consumer in the entertainment sector. So how can we change this from consumer to be developers?
So Pratham, thank you for the question. So right now we are at a very nascent stage in the gaming industry as far as having those capabilities to turn into an IP developer nation is concerned. But with the private sector's participation, I think there are a lot of programs in the country that are being run by companies like Krafton, Sony, and a lot of other, in fact, gaming companies from abroad that are actually training developers on the job which enhances their skills of game development, tells them more about gaming engines that are required to make these games. So it's a gradual process, but I think in the next 5 or 10 years, we are likely to be on that path of transforming from a consuming nation to a content creating nation.
Thank you.
Any other question?
I want to add one thing. Again, as I mentioned, countries like Japan and even countries like Korea and a couple other countries, it's very difficult to find skilled game developer in terms of the quantity. So they have a couple quality good engineers, but if you want to expand their operation, it's very difficult to find a talent. So that's why we see lots of foreign companies coming into countries like India, where lots of talented engineers and artists are growing. So that's one way of expanding industry. And then I think it starts from the outsourcing and service, but through the course of time, I believe that I can see that even in our company that they learn the techniques and best practices from these countries like Japan, and then they started to propose their own ideas in game design and coming up with the interesting ideas that even these countries cannot come up with. So I think I see a good path on Indian gaming industry coming up with a strong IP that potentially can be big in the world in the future.
Thank you.
I saw another hand going up there.
Hello. Yeah, I am Chirag from chaotix.ai. So as you told that Japan and other countries are looking
Hold the mic closer to your
for developers, game developers. So I want to really understand that how Indian developers and Indian gaming companies can really reach out to those companies who are looking for those kind of developers for gaming companies, how we can have the collaborations for that. Yeah.
I think there's multiple ways. First, Japan is a tough one because Japanese don't speak English that much, so you need to learn Japanese. But at the same time, there's lots of, as again mentioned, companies like us working a lot with these Japanese companies. So start talking with companies like international, the local Indian companies working with international companies is a good way. And also, today you don't need to go to Japan to find a client. There's lots of digital way to find your clients and partner by increasing your presence in a digital world. Maybe in Japan you need a translator so that the Japanese people can understand your value proposition. But within this era, there's lots of ways that you can reach out if you have a courage and motivation.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, if there are no more questions, we'll bring this session to a close. Thank you, Ryo Shima-san and Chitra for sharing the opportunities in India and the Japanese market. I think it was a meaningful session. I think there is. Can we take another question? With your permission, yeah. Please go ahead.
So I have a question from you. My question is, like most of the time we see that foreign companies are trying to capture India's market for a very long time, but most of the time they fail. So can you tell me what are the reasons they might not are able to capture the Indian market?
So I think, again, as I mentioned in the presentation, India is a difficult market. And there's a lots of variety of culture and different history and even the different languages. I think in order to penetrate the mass of Indians, you need to create a community. And creating a community is very difficult. You can't just come in and launch the game and hope that it will work. Continuous effort is needed to be successful in India for foreign companies to become successful. I think the Crafton that Shalom was talking about is one great example. They had a strong commitment and lots of investment in building a community. They run esports event. They do communication, the collaboration with the influencers. They have local team running marketing and lab events, understanding the community. All these efforts are needed to penetrate and build a community in India. I think that's one big success factor to be successful for foreign companies to come and succeed in India, especially in the gaming space.
Thank you.
Also, I would like to add what you mentioned is not at all true. I mean, there are a lot of organizations which have come into India and have been successful.
It's not like that, but most of the times we see that foreign companies that are trying to capture Indian market fails or are not or incur losses for most of the time.
Yeah. Thank you very much for joining us for this session. We bring this session to a close with this, and the delegates can have their lunch coupons here within the hall itself, and they can collect the lunch from the food court. And thank you very much.